Hi, my name is Max Mäkinen. I'm a technical application specialist at Brainstorm Multimedia. Today we're going to talk about XR workflows. Brainstorm has been doing XR productions for a very long time, and we've created some very unique XR workflows so that you as the end user can choose the correct workflow for every single production. The first workflow I want to talk to you about is the active workflow. In an active workflow, we fill out the LED screen with active pixels. And those active pixels generate a camera's unique point of view into the virtual world. Now, an active workflow is very useful because it provides us with correct lighting and reflection environments here in the real world set, meaning that the talent on stage will integrate better into the virtual world than they would, for example, in an XR environment. Now, an active workflow is very easy to configure. We simply tell the system where the camera is located in relation to our 0 point in the studio. Now, you might not have guessed this, but the camera that you can see recording this active workflow at the moment is actually a camera on a pedestal without any tracking system. We've simply told the camera where it's located, and as you can see, the camera operator can very easily go and pick the close-ups or the shots that they want. This means that we could easily have 1 or 2 tracked cameras together with several non-tracked cameras, greatly reducing the costs in XR workflows. Now, the active workflow works great when we only have a few screens in our studio. However, as the amount of screens grows, the complexity and the costs also grow together with the amount of screens. This is due to us having to render the native resolution of the LED screen for each LED screen in the studio. That is to say, if I have only one HD or Ultra HD LED screen in the studio, we can very easily use an active workflow. However, if I have 3, 4, or 5 screens in the studio, that means that I would need to render active content to 3, 4, 5 screens in Ultra HD at the same time per camera, meaning that a single workstation simply could not do this. Now, naturally, you could just add more workstations and licenses, but this would exponentially increase costs. In addition to the active workflow, we also have a camera frustrum workflow. Now, the camera frustrum workflows solves all the rendering issues and hardware issues that we might have in an active workflow. In a camera frustrum workflow, we simply render the camera's resolution and we map those pixels onto the screen according to the screen area that the camera is looking to. That is to say, if the camera zooms in to a certain area of the screen, we only display and show those parts of the screen. As you can see here, as the camera operates, we still have a completely correctly composited image, but we only have to render a certain amount of pixels. This camera frustrum can further on be mapped onto any amount of screens that we have. In this case, I only have 1 screen, but we could have 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 screens, and the camera frustrum would seamlessly move from screen to screen. Now, currently, in this XR frustrum workflow, you can see that the parts not seen by the camera are displayed in black, which is a drawback for our lighting and reflection environment, reducing some of the benefits that we normally have in an XR workflow. However, we could easily change the color of these black pixels to whatever color we want, such as, for example, to a gray, to better reflect the lighting in the virtual world. Now, naturally, this color could be also adjusted by DMX remotely, and we can change it to whichever color frame by frame. However, to have the perfect lighting and reflection environment, we can also choose that we see the frozen image of the camera when it last saw that area. So now let's switch this camera to our frozen image mode, and the camera operator can simply pan through all of the screen areas, and you can still see the camera frustrum moving. And as we look at different parts of the image, we retain a completely correct lighting and reflection environment. This means that in case our set does not have any moving objects, any animated elements, then we have a fully correct lighting and reflection environment without any additional costs. Now, the camera Frustrum workflow also has additional benefits. In the camera Frustrum workflow, we can also have set extensions. That is to say, we can extend the virtual world from the edges of the LED screen virtually so that the camera can look at any part of the set. This is especially important in XR workflows since LED screens are still quite expensive and are not as cheap to build in large sizes as green screen studios, for example. The XR set extension in the Brainstorm software is also quite unique in that we create the set extension in the same computer, the same license, and the same software as where we create the background render, further making the workflow much more easy to understand and much more cost efficient. In set extensions, another thing that is very important to do well is the color correction of the set extension. In the Brainstorm Infinity Set software, we have a state-of-the-art color calibration tool that automatically color corrects the set extension's color to match the camera's and the LED screen's color, creating a seamless integration between the two worlds. In addition to this, it's also very important to note that lens calibrations play a very important role in XR set extensions. Brainstorm is completely capable of reproducing the tracking and lens data from all the major tracking providers on the market. But in addition to that, we can also do our own lens calibration files in our software. This software comes free of charge in every single Infinity Set installation, and we can pick and choose what data to take from the tracking devices. For example, we can choose to just take the positional data from the tracking device and do the lens calibrations both for field of use and distortions in our own software, giving much more flexibility for production houses to pick and choose their lenses according to productions without having to call in third-party companies to recalibrate lenses or calibrate new lenses. Now, in our set extension, and thanks to the state-of-the-art calibration tools found in the Infinity Set software, we can see that our set extensions match line per line, creating a seamless environment between the virtual world and the real world, without the viewer being able to distinguish any difference between the set extension and the image shown on the screen. Now, in this setup, we actually have a multi-camera setup using GhostFrame technology. In a normal XR multi-camera shoot, we actually need a lot of different things to happen at the same time, and we actually normally need to create a lot of automation. If we would, in an XR multi-camera setup, just cut from a camera to another, the next camera, camera B, would actually see the incorrect background. And that's due to each camera having a unique point of view into the virtual world. That is to say, when we cut from camera A to camera B, we do not only have to cut from camera A to B, in addition to that, we also need to change the background on the LED wall to correspond to the background of camera B. Now, if we just execute these two commands at once, due to the inherent delays in the signal chain, we'll run into another problem. When cutting from camera A to camera B and swapping the background on the LED wall to represent the background of camera B at the same time, camera B will actually end up seeing the background of camera A for a frame or two. Now, due to this, we actually need to construct multi-camera camera cuts in an XR LED environment through macros, with delays, or by controlling video routers that support clean switch capabilities. Now, this is something that Brainstorm demonstrated at NAB 2023, and that you can take a look at in our NAB 2023 demo. But this workflow with macros or controlling video routers actually has several drawbacks. Now, if we use this workflow, we will be able to synchronize the cuts, but the production crew in the production room, in the control room, would actually see the incorrect background on all the cameras except for the camera that has been cut on air. In addition, the camera operators, when compositing shots, would also see the incorrect background on their viewfinder, making compositing shots or choosing what shot to cut to much more difficult. To solve all these issues, we can use the unique GhostFrame technology. GhostFrame allows us to overlay several images on our LED screen at the same time. Now, these images are running at the same time on a LED wall, with the LED wall running at a multiple of the camera frame rate. The camera shutter speed is then adjusted so that the camera only records light for a part of the frame, and the Genlock signal going to the camera is then offset by half a frame so that each camera only sees its unique point of view into the virtual world. This solves a lot of issues because now each camera operator will be able to see their correct background at the same time, and the production crew in the control room will also have the correct background for each camera's unique point of view, making it much easier to cut between shots. Brainstorm's Infinity Set integrates seamlessly and easily with all of the GhostFrame technologies. We can very easily output additional layers as well. The GhostFrame technology actually allows us to add layers only visible to the talent on stage and invisible to the cameras. This means that we can add teleprompters, video screens, images only visible to the persons on the set and invisible to the camera. And thanks to Brainstorm Infinity Set's unique licensing options and the possibilities of having endless outputs at the same time, we can generate teleprompters, video walls, and images on one of the render engines for the cameras without adding any additional complexity or cost. Now, I hope that this video has answered the main questions that you might have about Brainstorm XR workflows. However, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact us in the email address displayed on the screen.